quorum. And unfortunately, Speaker Tubak is not here tonight. So I will be taking over for him in this role. So with that being said, I will call the Student Senate to order at 6:33 p.m. And roll call has been taken by the clerk, and I believe, like I said, we have met quorum. Going further, I don't believe that anyone has contacted me for public forum. Gabriel, is that correct? Or Randy, is that correct?
Correct.
Awesome. And going further, the report from the executive, item A, the report from the executive branch, Vice President Gumbs.
All right, good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. So my report for you guys is pretty quick. So a couple of key dates. On April 18th, that will be our set date for our second town hall with President Muma and interim provost Lefevre. And so marketing and information will be about that soon, but just keep that date in mind. So that'll be April 18th. Also, our Earth Day celebration, basically, it'll be one day after this session, but it's still to wrap up this session. Our Earth Day celebration will be on April 22nd, and that'll be in the evening time as well. So take on that. And today was supposed to be our tailgate for both the softball and baseball team. But as you can see, it was freezing outside and the weather was bad all week. And so that will be pushed to a later date in April as well. And so just be on the lookout for those dates. In regards of what we're doing here in Cabinet, we've been having conversations with interim provost Lefevre around college fees. So Treasurer James and President Khan been having those conversations with the different deans and how those fees are allocated, who are part of those processes, etc. And so that's really much of what we're having right now. We're also doing a lot of work myself and Chairperson Brantley, and Chairperson Brantley can go in more detail as well, having conversations with international students about their journeys and experiences here on campus. And so that graphic is posted on our social media. And if you need the official form, if you know any international student, or if you yourself here is an international senator and you need the form to sign up to get the Zoom link to be in the roundtable discussion, which is scheduled for Friday from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. Please do so we can have a dialogue and we can take that conversation and present recommendations to both the International Education Office and Provost Lefevre. We've also, a couple of us also been sitting on a couple search committees for different places within the university, and also just finalizing a lot of media content just to wrap up the semester, making sure information is out about certain things. And of course, lastly, we're all working on our transitions out of our positions as the final weeks are wrapping up. And so that's all I have for you guys this week. Any questions?
Are there any questions for the executive branch? Seeing none, I will refer back to the clerk to give the report for the attendance and vote count.
There are 29 senators present, 16 is simple majority, and 2/3 is 20.
Thank you, Clerk Bridge. Going to the next report, the student fees report. Item B, the student fees report from Treasurer James.
All right, hello everyone. So I held the two listening sessions yesterday and Monday. A few people came out, thanks for those who did, to ask some questions. I'm gonna add on a whim here, 2 more. I'm gonna do the same time. So it'll be this upcoming Monday, the 28th, from 1 to 3, and then also the following Tuesday from 11 to 1. If you have any questions about the student fees, just in general, feel free to come on out to those to ask me any questions. It was in the Budget and Finance Committee this week, and they voted to pass it forward to you all with the recommendation to pass, essentially meaning that they are in agreement with it. And yeah, that's all I have for our student fees report.
Are there any questions regarding the student fees report for Treasurer James? Seeing none, I believe.
There's one, John.
Yeah, I see it. Senator Cadillo, go ahead.
For that, if we invite students to hop in on those meetings, is there a specific time for questions, or is it going to just be reviewing of it, or how is the meeting going to work if they pop in there?
It'll just be all questions, really, like about anything. I'll just be there. And if you have a direct question to ask me, I'll just answer it. It's just a come and go type thing. Drop in, stay as long as you need to, get any information that you need. It's basically just to get you all familiar with it before next week when it's on the Senate floor for the first read. So you can get a lot of those questions out the way then. But to answer your question, there's no really format to it. Yeah.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you. We'll go on to item C, committee reports. I will start for the Budget and Finance Committee. As Treasurer James just stated, that we went over the student fees proposal, considered it. We're talking about it for a while. Then we have a lot of organizational and individual fundings coming in. Funding applications close on the 1st. So we're scheduling everything out and making sure that everyone that gets them in from now until the 1st, we're able to accommodate for them and make sure that we get them all through by the 20th. And then, as always, I'm working on my transition guide and making sure that going to the next session and whoever takes this position next is very clear on really what I'm doing, what the responsibilities are, and so that there is no room for gray area. And I will stand for questions if there are any. Seeing none. Seeing none, I will now go to Senator Perkins.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I hope you guys had a good spring break. I just have a few updates today. So first and foremost, Higher Education Day did end up taking place, but WSU Student Government Association wasn't made aware of it until the 11th hour, and so we did end up electing not to participate, as there is essentially nothing of substance planned for the day. But if you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer any. I know it didn't go exactly as we all had hoped, but that's sometimes how it goes. Our committee, on a more positive note, did end up meeting with Lacey Cruz on the final day before spring break. She's our representative on the county commission, and it was a really good meeting overall. If you're interested in any of the details of that, I have thorough notes that I'd be happy to send you, and I'd also just be happy to answer any questions you might have. Other than that, we obviously have less than a month left in the session, so I think our committee's next week is going to start to shift into wrapping up the session and maybe some ideas for the new one. But yeah, if anything else, I am happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Senator Hoops, go ahead.
Not too much this week. The one group we were going to have come to committee this week canceled on me, so we didn't meet this week. Next week, we're going to have 3 orgs to approve through committee, so we can get those on the floor for the last 2 reads for the last couple meetings. Other than that, I've just started a transition guide today for my short tenure in this position for whoever takes this over next. And I think that's it. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, okay, thank you. We will now go into Senator Warden.
Hey guys, sorry, hold on. Okay, sorry. So nothing really much for my committee since we got back from spring break. Still working on my transition guide and working on parking appeals. But otherwise, nothing really big going on in my committee right now.
Are there any questions for Senator Warden? Seeing none. Awesome. Thank you. We'll now open up to Senator Thompson.
Hi, everyone. So coming out of spring break, the only new report I have for my committee is just more clarified plans set forth for our tabling event that we're still aiming for April to ask students about their feedback on academic advising at the university.
Are there any questions for Senator Thompson? Seeing none. Senator Brantley for his committee is not here, and neither is their chair. I was informed that their pro temp, I'm sorry, and I was informed that they did not meet this week, so they don't have anything to report. If there is anything that I am made aware of during the meeting or after, I will make sure that that is accessible to everyone. Going further, item 7, the approval of the consent agenda. There is nothing in the consent agenda. So now we will go to next item, consideration of pending business. Item A, the clerk will read.
SB-64-076, a bill concerning the updates to the association's bylaws on hardship funds.
Since this is a second read of this bill, we will now open up the floor for deliberation on this item. I will open up the floor for a speech and affirmation to this bill. All right, and I will now go to a speech and negation for this bill. All right, seeing none, we'll now close debate and open up the floor for now voting. We'll wait for the clerk to send that link. Sorry, everyone, there is a slight malfunction, just a few more minutes.
With 26 in favor, 2 against, and 1 abstention, the motion carries.
Great. Going on to item B. Wait for the clerk to be ready. Item B, the clerk will read.
SB-64-077, an act concerning the approval of the OSTEM student organization.
Again, since this is a second read of this bill, we will now go into deliberation of this bill. I will entertain a speech and affirmation of this. Seeing none, a speech and negation of this. Oh. And going back to speech and affirmation one more time. Senator Short.
All I can really say is that this organization looks pretty cool, and if I were in STEM, I'd want to be a member of it. I encourage everybody to vote yes. I look forward to seeing what they can do.
Thank you. And I will ask one more time in negation to be equally fair. Seeing none, we will close deliberation on this item, and we will open up the floor for voting on this.
With 29 in favor, 1 against, and 0 abstentions, the motion carries.
Moving on to the next thing on the agenda, item C, the clerk will read.
SB-64-078, a bill concerning the amendment and adjustments to Article 9.
Just like the other ones, since this is a second read, we will now open up the floor for deliberation on this item. I will open up a speech and affirmation for this item. Seeing none. Yes, I'm sorry. Colors are, my bad. Senator Cadillo, go ahead.
I want to speak in affirmation. It is a large bill, so just wanted to say I think it has really good points and that touches on a lot of things that were issues for student organizations. So if it means that more students can benefit from this opportunity, I think that every senator should vote in favor.
Thank you, Senator Cadillo. Is there a speech and negation of this item? Senator McCrory.
Yeah, while I'm sympathetic with it, I think the intent of a lot of the funding increases in this bill were probably because of the effects of inflation upon the purchasing power of our money. But given that a lot of people have less money now in their wallet in relation to the purchasing power, I certainly think that we shouldn't be increasing our expenditures If anything, we should be cutting back. And so for that reason, I certainly think that we should vote down this bill. Oops.
Thank you, Senator McCrory. Are there any additional speeches in affirmation of this item? Seeing none, yeah, seeing none, going back to any speeches in negation of this item. Senator Angleton, is that a speech in affirmation or negation?
Negation.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm here to echo the same thing that Senator McCrory said. I don't see us as needing to increase the ways that we can spend money that people are paying into this organization that we really don't have. And while this organization is elected, it's elected by such a small group of people compared to the constituency of the campus. I don't believe that we should have any power over how money is spent.
Thank you, Senator Angleton. Are there any speeches in affirmation? Seeing none, speech in negation. Seeing none, I will close debate now and open up voting on this item. One slight second, everybody. Another issue with the computers and everything. We'll be done shortly.
The vote is 20 in favor, 6 against, and 4 abstentions. For failing to secure 21 votes in favor or 2/3 of the Senate present, this motion fails.
Before we continue, I would like to go back because I skipped over the approval of the minutes. So with that, if there are no objections, the minutes will be adopted from the last meeting as such. Seeing none, thank you. We will now go further with today's agenda. For not securing votes, we are now going on to the next item in the agenda. Consideration of new business, item A, the clerk will read.
SB-64-079, an act concerning removing the vice president from the senatorial appointment process.
If there are no objections, I spoke with Speaker Tubach before the meeting, and he gave, and him and I talked a lot about this bill. If everyone is comfortable with it, I'm going to let Camila give the gist of what this bill is, and then after that, I will give the report from Jacob that he has told me. So Camila, if you're cool with that, thank you.
Yes. So basically, when we're going over the journal review and having conversations over the summer when the session started, and just having conversations on how we want to improve the process of student government and continue that separation of branches and giving Senate a little bit more of its own autonomy. We have those conversations about removing the vice president from the role of appointing members to the Senate. Just that way we keep the Senate process solely within the Senate, and that will give the speaker a little bit more power to be able to control the Senate and the executive to be, still an executive. And we had those conversations just knowing that for me personally, and also some previous vice presidents as well, the process of appointing senators sometimes can be a little taxing, can be a little extra, a little addition to the plate to all the other roles they have to play within the executive branch. So for this, it was just really a simple of giving a little bit more autonomy to the legislative branch and having the Senate be able to, I guess, be made up and approved and appointed by yourself, basically.
And to go further upon that, to what Speaker Tubach talked to me about, this is, as Vice President Gumbs just said, this is something that was really just trying to, one, help the executive branch so we could take one thing just off of the vice president's back, so they wouldn't have to worry about that. And then it would give the speaker the ability to see, like, just not to pick and choose and all of that, but just to be able to see who is wanting to be in Senate and then be involved in that process. For those of you that don't know, the past why the vice president was the one that was in that was because before the speaker, the vice president was the chair of the legislative branch. And then, so before we go any further, I would like to ask, this is a constitutional change. And so if there are no objections, I would like to suspend the rules so that we are able to put this onto the docket for voting for the elections this year, so that it can be implemented going into next year, if there are no objections. I do not believe I see any hands. Senator Berry, Senator Angleton. Okay, so with that, I'm going to have a motion to suspend the rules for this session, for this specific bill, so that we are able to put it on the docket for the voting for this session. Do I hear a second?
Okay.
Second by Senator Warden. my reasoning behind this is simply to just not to have the speaker be the hierarchy of the legislative branch, or to be the biggest person in charge. That is not the goal. The goal is to be able to have the speaker, whoever that might be, have an input into and to be involved in the process of appointing senators, instead of during the beginning of each session, when they are a new freshman and everything are coming in. And we want to be able to help the executive branch. I know in the past 3 going on 4 sessions that I have been in, the vice president does a lot, and to be able to help them out in this so that they can be able to effectively effectively put their time into other things that they can be effectively helping more. And that is my main reason to go further. And if you have any additional questions for specifically Speaker Tubak, I would encourage you to reach out to him, message him, so that since he is the main author along with Vice President Gumbs, I would encourage you to do that. But this is frankly just just switching power to be able to help each other out. With that being said, do I see a speech and affirmation of this bill?
Point of clarification.
Go ahead.
Specifically for Advisor Fonseca. So can you tell me what the reasoning was originally behind empowering like the vice president, or in this case, it would be the Speaker of the Senate, rather than any member of the Senate, for, empower them to make appointments like that, since it has to be ratified by the rest of the Senate anyways?
Yeah, great question. Before we made the change a couple of years ago to, and I apologize guys, I'm at the airport flying back home. Before we made the change of creating the Speaker of the Senate, the student body vice president was the one who was the head of the Senate, and they made all of the nominations to the Senate. And actually, let me take that back. The student body president made all of the nominations to the Senate, and then it was ratified by the full Senate to whether or not that person can take that seat. When we made the change to create the Speaker, we left the appointment authority with the president of the Senate, in this case, the vice president, to make the nominations and to then forward those to the full Senate for ratification. And so my assumption behind this bill is then to just move that responsibility from the president of the Senate to the Speaker, granting them the ability to appoint, and the full Senate to retain its ability to ratify any of those appointments. Why I think your second question, senators weren't or aren't in position to make nominations, that's a great question that I don't have an answer for you. Just simply to my thought behind it would be because they're not in leadership positions to make those appointments, and nor is it currently listed in any capacity of a senator not in a leadership role to make those appointments. So if I am remembering from the 4 or 5 years I've been here, there was no real reason. It's always just lied in the student body president's hand, and then it shifted over to the vice president to use it. I don't know if that answers fully your question, but that's the information I have for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
With that, Senator Dix, is that a point of affirmation, negation?
Primarily, I want to do a point of clarification. It might be 2, if possible.
Yeah, go ahead.
The first is, for this piece of legislation, did we skip the discussion period to ask, or because the author is not here, are we not able to do a discussion period?
A discussion period or questioning period?
Questioning period.
Questioning period. So we can, you are more than welcome to ask questions to Vice President Gumbs, but since Speaker Tubak is not here, he cannot answer those. And I can answer them to the best of my ability as well. So you are more than welcome to ask questions. And I see Gabe's hand is raised. Go ahead, Gabe.
Yeah, just a reminder that we are only right now discussing the suspension rule, so we're not actually discussing the bill at all. So you need to finish discussion on to suspend the rules and then begin the vote on that. If it passes, then you can actually begin the discussion and questions on the actual bill.
So just for clarification, as of right now, we are on a motion to suspend the rules so that we are able to put it on the docket for the vote for this this coming election. Senator Short.
I'm wondering if I can speak an affirmation for us suspending the rules. Is that a thing that I can do?
Say what?
Can I speak an affirmation for suspending the rules in this case? Is that what this is?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I'd like to speak an affirmation. If we're going to pass this bill, why not pass it so it takes effect during the 65th session, or at least give our constituents the chance to vote on it? It just makes sense to me that we would suspend the rules in this case, because if we don't, we're not going to even see this we're not going to see it in my experience, in my time at Wichita State, but we're not even going to see it for another year and a half if we don't suspend the rules in this case. So it just makes the most sense to me to encourage all of you to vote yes on suspending these rules, because if we're going to then vote this bill into like law, or at least onto the ballot, why not do it as soon as possible? So vote yes.
Thank you, Senator Short. Is there a speech in negation? Senator Angleton.
While I do share the sentiment that yes, it would be great to get it done, and same with not being at Wichita State after that, so it really isn't that big of an effect for me specifically. But given the amount of time since this has been really available to us, we haven't had the time to write any proper formal ideas of how to make changes to this bill if we see the need to amend it. So in seeing that, being that it is such a large piece of legislation that changes something kind of near and dear to our student government, whether you like it or not, I don't believe that we should put it out in front of the students to then go, wait, next time we need to make yet another amendment to it because we found an issue.
Thank you, Senator Angleton. Is there a speech in affirmation? I will go ahead and speak an affirmation. The way that I see it, Speaker Tubak and I talked about this for a while, and the way that I see it is, all of the points that have been made are fair. If the students in the student body of WSU want this or don't want this, that we will know. We will know within this. So within for the suspension of the rules, the reason why I think this is very necessary is because of the fact that we can get it done. We can stay as long as we need to tonight to talk about it. But all it's doing is taking one power of the vice president, just shifting it over. The process of how a senator would come in for appointments and all of that, it would still be the same. Nothing would change within that. It would just be who is doing it. And to me, it seems like the person that is in charge of the legislative branch should be the one that sits in and does those meetings to be able to not deny or anything, because if they still are meeting the qualifications and everything to be in as a senator, there's no reason why they cannot be a senator. So it's just mainly to be able to put the leader of the legislative branch, like it had been when it was still the vice president, in that role. So that those are my reasonings. And Yeah, so now I will open up the floor for a speech in negation. Senator Hoops, I saw your hand first.
So I'll be brief. I honestly like this piece of legislation. My issue with suspending the rules is why didn't we do this sooner? We had plenty of time to get something on the ballot. Why didn't we do it sooner? I think it should have to have the same waiting period as every other piece of legislation. Therefore, I will be voting against the rule suspension.
Thank you, Senator Hoops. Is there a speech in affirmation? Speech in negation? Senator Dix.
Kind of echoing what Senator Hoops had said, I don't know that I feel particularly comfortable voting on a constitutional change given the short time frame and given that the actual author of the bill, even if by circumstance was not able to be here tonight to discuss the legislation. I'm looking forward to discussion on the piece of legislation because I think it proposes a possibly good change, but at the same time, I don't think that I would be comfortable suspending the rules to do so.
Thank you, Senator Dix. Is there another speech? Is there a speech in affirmation? Speech in negation? Yes, Senator McCrory.
Well, I'm sympathetic to the viewpoint of Senator Short. It seems to me that we don't really have any good reason to be in a hurry about this. And it is a rather weighty, in my opinion, at least, constitutional change. So I see no good reason to suspend the rules. We might as well let the process carry out consistently in accordance with the rules. So, oops.
Thank you for that. Now with a speech in affirmation, Senator Owens, I saw you first.
Actually,
Sorry.
Clarification.
Senator Owens, you're cutting out really bad.
Oh gosh.
Senator,
Yeah, can you type it for us, please? Senator Short.
I just kind of, it's not really a point in affirmation. It's more just like a question. Personally, as someone who has been in the student government of Wichita State actually longer than any of you, I have been interviewed for my position by the student body president. So sorry, by the student body vice president and by the student body vice president along with the student body president. I have been interviewed by various different people and I still can do a good job in this position as a senator. I don't think it really matters like who it is that's doing it, but I don't see why people think it's such a big deal that it's the person in charge of the Senate that is choosing who makes up the composition of the Senate. Obviously, they're all going to have to go through the Senate for like approval anyways. And so I'm just like wondering whether your concern is lying in the right place when you say, oh, this is such a big bill. It's no offense, not that big of a deal. Like that's all I have to say. And my concern is that y'all are concerned about the wrong thing and you're trying to hold this up because of not legitimate concerns.
This is go into more of just debate, and we're talking specifically on the suspension. So continuing from there to answer Senator Owens' questions, if the rules are suspended tonight, we would be voting on this tonight to be able to put it just on the docket to be able to be voted on. And the reason why the motion is to want to do it tonight is because if it's not done tonight, then it will not be able to be voted on by the student body. for the next session. It would have to be done again when voting is available again for us, for the student body. Does that answer your question, Senator Owens? Okay. So now going into a speech in negation. And just a reminder, we're going a speech in negation and affirmation on suspending the rules. So we're all still on the same page. Senator Cadillo, are you in negation?
I actually just wanted clarification. Your last comment helped a little bit. Just to clarify the significance of why we say wouldn't be able to table this until next week, where we could have Jacob to be able to answer questions. And if we could then potentially suspend the rules then, and then maybe have time to look at those amendments and such, would it be a difference time-wise if we did that, or no?
Based on the information that I have been given, and from what I've read, that today is the last day to be able. So if we pass it tonight, today is the last day that it have to be put into effect to be able to be considered to be voted on for this next session. Even if we did table it, if we tabled it, it would still be able to be voted on and all of that. It just, the student body would not be able to vote on it, and it would not be put into effect until the student body would be able to vote on it. But I will ask if Senator Fonseca can elaborate further on that. If Senator Advisor Fonseca can elaborate further on that if I was incorrect.
No, you were correct. Friday is the last day for the ballot to remain open for any final actions of the Senate. Keeping in mind that constitutional amendments have to be voted on by the entirety of the student body in order for it to take effect. Even if this session passes it, which this week, next week, whatever, if it's beyond this Friday, then it will still pass. It will just have to wait a year or until the Senate calls a special election in order for that vote to go through. So to your question, Senator Cadillo, you can make all the amendments you want. You can make changes if the suspension is applied today. We have to have a final bill for anything for the commission to actually put it onto the ballot.
Does that answer your question fully, Senator Cadillo?
My last question, basically, never mind, I will rescind. Thank you.
Okay. Now I believe we're in a speech in negation. Senator Berry, I believe. Yes, go ahead.
So my only problem with suspending the rules now is that, like, I don't understand why it's so important to suspend the rules this time. If there was another constitutional amendment, we probably would not take the same kind of care to put it ahead. And I can see those as two differently weighted things. So I'm thinking, since we would give this bill priority over other bills, I think we should just go along with the rules this time and let it happen next time.
Thank you, Senator Berry. Are there any speeches in affirmation for this? And any further in negation for this? Senator Dix, I saw you first.
Kind of to add something new that we had discussed at a previous meeting, I believe, about the Elections Commission that is going to adjust the size of the Senate. To my understanding, that was something that, regardless of issue, because of its time frame, would be ending up on the ballot in the 66th session regardless. So to bounce off of Senator Berry's point there, if this passes one session, it doesn't truly affect anything, and then it would allow the student body to make broader sweeping changes all at once in the 66th session. So there is less of a loss if we don't do this.
Thank you, Senator Dix. With that, I'm going to close debate on this item. we will open up the vote on this item. A reminder, this is a vote on to suspend the rules, whether or not we want to suspend the rules. One minute while we get voting situation taken care of.
A quick point of clarification. This would require a 2/3 vote, right? To
Yeah.
suspend the rules. Okay.
Yes.
We are missing 8 votes, people.
Just a reminder, if you have already voted once, please do not vote again. If you haven't voted, please vote now.
With 14 in favor, 15 against, and 1 abstention, the motion fails.
All right, so now going back to item A, SB-64-079, the removal of the vice president from the central appointment process. I will now.
No, John, you nothing. You move on. If there are any questions, you can take questions, but you can't actually debate it tonight.
I know, like that's so. With that, is there any additional questions that need to be answered by Vice President Gumbs? Seeing none, then we will talk about this more. We will discuss this more next week. And additionally, if there are any questions, I would encourage everyone to reach out to Speaker Tubak. Additionally, he will more than likely be here next week to be able to ask him direct questions on this specifically on next week. So yeah, going further, that is all that is on the agenda for today. I will now refer to Advisor Fonseca.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everyone's aware that we are making plans to resume Senate in person starting next week. So do keep that in mind. Additionally, do keep in mind that even though the university's mask mandate has been lifted, the Senate's policy is still in place, which means masks are still required in the Senate chambers for according to the speaker's policy. So we will work on final details and ensuring that we're prepared to move back into person next week. But I just wanted to give you all a heads up of that as well. Committees would be dependent on committee chairs, and so I imagine they will reach out to make you aware of decisions about committee.
Senator Dix, you have a question?
Yeah, for next week when we go back to in-person, is there a process where a roll call vote can be taken in order to rescind the mask mandate to match university policy?
I believe so, but I'm going to again refer back to Advisor Fonseca on that specifically.
Yeah, there's a clause in that's just given to senators to submit a Senate resolution to suspend a decision of the speaker. So you'll need to put a Senate resolution together and for that to be processed through the normal legislative process. But it doesn't just happen on the floor. There has to be an actual bill for today.
Does that answer your question, Senator Dix? Awesome. All right, if there is nothing further, I am going to adjourn the meeting at 7:29 p.m. Thank you guys for coming in today, and have a safe rest of your week. Gabriel, if you could stay after, please.